By now, I'm sure you've seen that the reception to Ajax was less than stellar. However, I have been playing this card to great success, and I'd like to talk to you about why and what it is I think everyone else is missing about what makes Ajax interesting and solid. When a new card comes out, most people's first reaction is to smash everything that looks like it synergizes with that card into a deck. And this has been a fairly consistent reaction for as long as Marvel Snap has been out. Ajax, in his early form, reminds me of a card where that ended up being wildly incorrect and impacting how people looked at this card when it was released. That's right, it reminds me just a little bit of Annihilus. Now, I'm not saying Ajax is going to be as good as Annihilus compared to that early reception of we're not really sure how good it is. However, I distinctly remember making a video on Annihilus Bounce on like the first day of Annihilus's release, talking about how the small package Annihilus is the right way to play this card. At the time, people were heavily invested in playing things like Debris, playing things like the Goblins alongside Annihilus that were just not right. And I'm seeing a lot of the same mistakes being made with Ajax now. My read on this card is that its job is to be a small package insert along the lines of playing something like Sentry and Ajax in the Hood in whatever other package you're already doing. You simply play Hazmat and Ajax and maybe Luke Cage and maybe White Widow in whatever other thing you're already doing. And I did that. I played 50 games of the deck, and I had a 60% win rate, winning 30 of those 50 games, gaining 30 cubes in high infinite. This was a reasonable thing to do, even on day one of the Ajax release when people were prepared for this card with their Luke Cages. I think a lot of the comments may look at this list and be like, great job, KM. You put 2 new cards into a good deck, and then that deck was already good. So what are the new cards even doing here, you jerk? Here's the thing. Ajax and Hazmat have legit roles in a deck like this. First things first, I wanted to start with a Hope Summers deck so I could play Ajax and Hazmat on the final turn of the game, because people are not expecting Ajax and Hazmat out of a deck like this, so going to 7 energy and fully surprising them with a very big unit on the final turn is actually something I'm very interested in doing. Once I realized I wanted to be a Hope Summers deck, the rest of the deck kind of flowed naturally from there. We wanted to be a deck that had Jeff and Nocturne and Thena and Kitty Pryde and the usual suspects in a Hope Summers shell. Then I felt very confident that what I wanted to be was this shell plus Shang-Chi plus beef. And I think Shang-Chi is really what sort of makes it all come together. When you look at why these types of decks have been performing a little bit worse than normal, a lot of it is because they've been making sacrifices to fit the Darkhawk package in. They're running Ravonna Renslayer and Iron Man and Mystique and Korg, and there's just too much stuff that you're trying to fit in the deck. Ajax is very large, not like as large as a Darkhawk, but large enough to contest a blob lane very easily. Shang-Chi also large enough to do that, and that means that you have multiple ways of dealing with what most people would consider the most problematic deck in the game, Arishem. In addition, as a deck that plays Nocturne and Jeff and Kitty Pryde and Shang-Chi, you have so many ways of absolutely hosing a Darkhawk, and a lot of Arishem decks are very invested in being Darkhawk decks. And there's also a bunch of decks that are just normal Darkhawk decks that you are extremely good into because you have basically 4 cards that either A, kill the Darkhawk when pulled, or B, prevent that lane from being fully clogged up. This sort of overarching thing that just makes this deck make sense in the current metagame is actually not super possible without Ajax, because you end up in a situation where it's like, okay, if I'm not playing Ajax and Hazmat, I'm playing what? Rockslide Darkhawk? That's just so much worse against anything that isn't specifically Arishem. It is so much worse. And so what the issue that Ajax is addressing in a deck like this is, where am I getting my power from without devoting too many slots to it? Which allows us to be a Shang-Chi deck, which allows us to have all this stuff that makes us good into various Darkhawk decks. We have all of these things because Ajax is able to do so much with so little. Kitty Pryde is kind of a little engine that could with this deck. Obviously phenomenal with Thena, phenomenal with Angela, phenomenal with Hope Summers. One thing to keep in mind is planning your final turn with Hope Summers' energy, and Kitty Pryde is usually very, very helpful for that because she enables you to get that energy boost, but also not fully commit to that lane, so that you are able to put yourself in a situation where you say, okay, I need 8 energy on the final turn of the game. That means I'm going to need to be able to play Kitty and also, like, I don't know, Hazmat Ajax, right? When you need that 8 energy, you don't want to have to necessarily risk moving a Nocturne off of that lane. Kitty Pryde is just the best card to use with basically all of those 3 cards. We are a deck that still tries to win games that way, too. Thena as a sort of archetype has been falling off a bit lately, and a lot of that is because of this struggle, this glut of endgame stuff. The deck has not had a thing in it that can deal with the size of a blob while also not being Darkhawk. There just isn't an option there. Usually when you're playing a Thena deck, your options are either Sasquatch package or Darkhawk package. Because Ajax gets to like 20 odd power in most games where you Hazmat, you get to actually just be like, yeah, this Ajax is actually just going to be bigger than your blob a decent amount of the time. And that is what this deck is lacking in the current metagame that Ajax actually does solve in terms of how you deal with what's going on. Because Sasquatch not big enough against blob, Darkhawk only big enough against Arishem, and this card, Ajax, gives this deck, the Thena deck, the beef that it needs to handle a wider spread of matchups. So when I talk about a small package here, I literally just mean you can probably put Hazmat and Ajax into a bunch of stuff and then just have it be good. Hazmat Ajax is actually just a ridiculous amount of points. Ajaxes were very often like 15, 20, 22. The Hazmat hitting everything was relevant. And interestingly, there's this thing where your opponents will play loot cage, and Ajax is actually sort of like having your own loot cage because, yeah, you know, all your stuff loses power, but it does go to the Ajax. It's a very interesting dynamic, actually. So these cards, obviously, they make each other better. They're extremely good. And when I talk about like mistakes I see people making, I see like people playing like Typhoid Mary or whatever. They're playing like Man Thing. They're playing like US Agent, and it's like, no. This is very much like Gilgamesh, where Gilgamesh is a card that you play with Blue Marvel. This is a card you play with Hazmat. Ajax and Hazmat go together. That is the gap, right? Like, yeah, there are other cards you can play with Gilgamesh, but you're not building that deck around him. You're not playing, nobody is seriously playing Gilgamesh Silver Surfer right now. It's not a thing, because it's just worse. Everyone who plays Gilgamesh is playing Blue Marvel. Similarly, everyone who plays this card is going to be playing Ajax. That's how it works. White Widow is just extremely strong generally, and has a little bit of upside with Ajax stuff. Like, it's actually about as far as it goes. You could call this a part of the Ajax package. I don't think that would really be fair, but maybe it is. It's just a really good card that you are very easily able to weave into your curve. When you compare this to the Ravonna decks, one thing that this deck really has a leg up on is that because it doesn't have to make those sacrifices at the back end, which usually involve fitting a bunch of big stuff in, like Iron Man, or cards you don't want to play like Mystique, or cards you can't play early in the game like Darkhawk, the curves are much easier on your Thena because you run so many more 2-drops, right? You are able to go, 2+2 on turn 4, and then 2+3 on turn 5, and actually just get your Thena procs in a way that is not as possible in other decks because their curves are just a little bit more clunky. They have Sages that they don't want to play early. They have Mystiques that they don't want to play early. And so they end up very reliant on Kitty Pryde, where this deck, because of the amount of 2s that it runs, is not as reliant on Kitty to make its Thena as big as it can get. Angela's like kind of like White Widow, where it's just like, yeah, this is just good. She's almost never actively bad. You have so many things that just free roll with her, whether that be the move cards or Kitty Pryde, that you're already just interested in running for various metagame considerations like Dr. Octopus anyway, or in the case of Nocturne blowing up Limbos. Like, there's just so many things that you're already wanting to do. So Angela ends up just being like kind of a glue girl for a deck like this, where it's just, you're never going to be sad to see her. She's always just going to be doing something. 2-4, 2-5, 2-6, 2-7. That's her range. You're very happy with that range. We've talked a little bit about just like all the twos in this deck and how that makes it easy to play Thena, and Jeff is actually a part of that. One card I really wanted to try to fit into this list was Luke Cage, and I think if I wanted to fit Luke Cage in, it would have to be Jeff or Nocturne that would be the cut. There are a couple issues with getting Luke Cage in here. Most obvious issue is your opponent can get a Luke Cage off a Loki. Second most obvious issue is I think a lot of the time it actually is just going to be worse than Jeff or Nocturne, because the power of having the ability to move that stuff around is actually genuinely underrated. But I had been thinking, like, I really would, if there could be a 13th card in the deck, I do think it would be Luke Cage. If anyone out there wants to like take this list and start experimenting with it and figure out what we can get, how we can get Luke Cage in here, I would encourage you to start with Jeff, but maybe you can't and you have to start with Nocturne. I'm not entirely sure, but that is where my head is at. There's legitimately kind of a lot of tension for me in this deck between the Mysterio stuff and the Hazmat stuff. I would think that it makes a lot of sense to be like, this is the main thing that like I wanted to get Luke Cage in there for, but at the same time, it's like I do think that just playing Mysterio Mockingbird is actually just too good to not do. Like, that is fundamental here. We are not in the business, when it comes to a deck like this, of sacrificing power for synergy. We're just not. And so that means it's the other way around. We're sacrificing synergy for power. Yes, you're going to be asking, why the hell is he playing Mystique in the Hazmat deck? Doesn't that make Hazmat a little bit worse? I mean, A, more targets for the Ajax isn't actually necessarily bad, but B, it's just too good to have a cheap Mockingbird. It just is. It's so completely absurd to have that card in your deck, and it is very important. When you look at the deck as a whole, this deck is a collection of small packages. There's the Thena package, there's the Mockingbird package, there's the Ajax package. That's what this deck is. And right now, it gets to fully invest in the Thena package because the Mockingbird package and the Ajax package are so small and self-contained and powerful. You said Mystique by accident instead of Mysterio? Well, now you know, because I'm leaving that in. Hope Summers is actually where I started with Ajax. I think a lot of people look at Ajax and they're like, okay, how do I play Hazmat Ajax on the same turn? And I think that's the right way to look at it. It's definitely a helpful thing to do. Hope Summers lets you do that very easily. Hazmat Ajax final turn, extremely powerful because people are really not expecting that kind of stuff out of a deck like this. They're very often expecting Iron Man or whatever, right? They're not expecting 27 power. That is very often what your final turn ends up being. Now, you also have this ability with Hope Summers to like cheat a lot of energy. One thing I'd encourage you to do is start planning out your turns basically the second you get her down. Figure out how much energy you're going to need on turn 6, how you need to be playing around Hope Summers for that reason, how much you want to invest in putting into her lane early, what their potential interactions with her are. And especially against Doc Ock decks, you're going to want to be like, all right, I need to make sure all of my lanes are undockable in some way. And you can accomplish this by getting cards out of your hand. Kitty Pryde's actually very good at that. Or by just making sure there's a mover or something like that in all of your lanes. Basically, don't over-index on Hope Summers. You are often very good at playing out your hand without using this card. You want to get as minimal investment into her as you need to do everything, basically. Nocturne is similar to Jeff, where it's like, I kept talking the entire time I was playing this deck about, what if I cut Nocturne for Luke Cage? And then every time it was just like, no, this card is too good. Nocturne costs me so many cubes. That's not even a joke. Like, the amount of big cube leverage games this card has lost me by just like rolling a location that absolutely kills me, it's non-zero. That's a real thing that'll happen. And I still can't cut her because she is so good. That is a 3/5 that moves. This card is ridiculous. It's a ridiculously strong card. It's so good. When it comes to like why move stuff is so powerful or self-contained move stuff, it's important to think of Marvel Snap in terms of what card advantage actually means. Card advantage in Marvel Snap is when you win a lane that both of you are invested in. That's the value trade of this game, where you win a lane and everything your opponent has done to win that lane, that is no longer relevant to the rest of the game. That's value. And Nocturne is such a good card because, oh, yeah, we're both investing in these lanes. oh, you're going to win that lane? It's cool. All my power is going somewhere else now. Ridiculous. In decks that are more heavily invested in, say, the Darkhawk package or the Sasquatch package or the Iron Man Mysterio stuff, it's very hard to fit Shang-Chi in. And I think that's a huge problem for these archetypes. However, in a deck like this, it's very easy to fit a Shang-Chi in, and that is another reason why I have to thank Ajaxx for carrying as much weight as he does. Because if Ajaxx wasn't able to be this big, beefy dude with fairly minimal investment, just literally is just Hazmat, and everything else is just so much worse than Hazmat that you don't even want to play it, we would be having to run other support for that card instead of Shang-Chi, which I think is terrible right now, because Shang-Chi is as good as he's ever been, amazing into RSM decks, will often find targets everywhere else too. So let's talk about him. Like, I genuinely am quite impressed with this card, and I don't think it's just me. During the entire time I was streaming, Yo Woody stopped by and he was watching me and he was like, you've actually entirely changed my mind on how to approach this card at all. And I think that's like a pretty ringing endorsement, personally. This card is not like a card I'm going to go out on a limb and be like, you must buy Ajaxx or anything like that. I'm not really in the business of doing that, you know? That's not really how I like to approach these things. My advice is always to wait longer and, you know, see how things shape up and all of that stuff. But I will tell you that there are a lot of people who are calling this card trash, and I do not think this card is trash. I think this card is actually legitimately high potential. And I gotta tell you, this was originally data mined at a 4-4. If this card released at a 4-4, he would be so messed up. Like, I cannot stress that enough. If this card actually released at 4-4, this would be even more of a slam dunk type of deck build. It would just be so clear that this is what you do. You just put Hazmat Ajaxxx in, like, basically everything and just go to town. And at 5-7, I do think that ends up being the right spot for him balance-wise. Maybe a little on the low side, but he still has a distinct role as a low-investment, big, beefy boy. And I am interested in that. Yeah, this card's really, really broken. I don't really know what else to tell you. Just a patently ridiculous card. In most decks that care about points, you should probably be running something like this in Mysterio. There's really no excuse not to. This is like the least synergistic Mockingbird deck of all time. We don't even necessarily want a lot of stuff on the board. We're still running Mysterio Mockingbird because, duh, it's just that good. And notably, after a Mysterio, this card will cost 2, which lets you pair it on the final turn with Shang-Chi. Great. That's just amazing. An amazing thing to do. You have so much insane endgame in a deck like this. All right, y'all. Thank you for sitting through all of that yap. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I know people are going to be like, should you buy Ajaxxx? I'm going to give you the same cop-out answer I always give you, which is, wait. Dummy. Just wait. Please wait. Don't be like, I watched your video and now it's your fault that I've made this. Just wait. Just wait. Because I think this is a card, again, the reaction reminds me very much of Annihilus. This is a lot like that, where it released and everyone was like trying to beat it and it just wasn't really doing a lot of stuff and everyone was playing a bunch of terrible stuff with it and they're like, I don't really know how good this is. And to be clear, if Annihilus is here, Ajaxxx is here, right? Like, Annihilus is a card that I was very sure was very good on release. Ajaxxx, I'm pretty sure it's like playable to good. Like, this is actually like a pretty solid thing to be doing, but I'm not up here with where I was with Annihilus. But the distance between where I'm at and where everyone else is at reminds me a lot of Annihilus, where it's like, I think that this card is significantly better than the trash it is being called. That said, obviously wait. Obviously sit and wait. There is a patch, an OTA, I think, on Thursday. Don't make any purchasing decisions until that happens. Wait as long as you possibly can. I don't want to hear anyone buying Ajaxxx until like Monday. That's like, don't worry about that stuff unless it ends up like, unless I end up being like way more right than I think I am, or right to a greater degree than I would expect. So, as always, thank you so much. I'm in KM Best. You have been phenomenal. And I will see you in the next one. Let's get into the gameplay. That way I could have tried to draw for a Shang. That's on me. Okay, well, nothing good ever happens here. played into Forge 5 times? 5. What was the 5th? Nothing ever. Okay, I guess that is the one good option that we had. Ajaxxx. I think this game will likely come down to, can I draw Shang-Chi and can they play around Shang-Chi on the monster map? Or can I get my guy so big that it doesn't matter? Should I snap this? He'll stay is the thing. Beast the Sage. Fast the Sage, I see. Not loving this. Yo. Okay, they have one card in hand. Angela White Widow. How do they play a third card? Have it! Holy shit. Gotta respect that. Okay. Right. Brrr, that guy's big as a motherfucker. Yo, Ajax. Yo, Ajax. And did you make this deck? Yes. Fair enough. Okay. I really want to fit Luke Cage in here. Not sure how to do that. But I would really, really like to. Anyone have any ideas how to make that happen? How does it look on Tide? You're going to see during the Magneto cosplay and the Loki cosplay. No cap, for real, for real. Do I play the Ajax now? Gotta imagine the answer is no. Fuck. I'm assuming I'm gonna die. Isn't Ajax soap? Yes. I feel like I must be dead. One, two, three, four. Ah, screw it. I don't really give a shit. Go ahead and beat my ass. I ain't doing this math. You better not be. That can't be good. Wait, what the fuck? They just ate it. They just totally 100% ate it. What the fuck? They just, like, opted to die. Oh, wait, no. Real Mysterio's gonna be over there and they're gonna win? Oh, wait, I have Real Mysterio there. What the fuck? Yeah, they just opted to die. Okay. Thank you. No Wong Talk Surfer. I did not run that. That sounds terrible. What is our cuts? Nocturne is the cup, but she's so good. It's so true. It's like Nocturne or Jeff. Yikes. That was a 2-6. I'm not really doing anything about that. Yeah, it is Arsham. Which lane are they going to play in? What are they snapping on here? I'll lose 4 here, sure. Wait, this is the exact play we played to beat. No Quantum Tunnel! Wait, Ajax! Woo! Nocturne tried to betray us, but it didn't work. Okay, so this is the exact play we played to beat, was they move Nocturne, assuming they've won Quantum Tunnel, and just play a big guy in the middle. Anyway, we had it won with Mockingbird. Nocturne tried to fuck us, but she couldn't do it hard enough. How would I go about getting it in here? It's the Mysterio Mockingbird package would be the sacrifice, I think. And personally, I don't like making that sacrifice. Could Ajax work in Zoo? I'm sure it could. Hello, Bayoki. Jeff? I don't think so. I mean, I'm guessing they're winning this lane. That's what you want, I suppose. So I play my Ajax as sort of a pseudo Luke Cage here. Whoa. Nice. That snap is super sus. Yeah, I don't understand, like, The whole reason I put the Ajax on Asgard was to be that pseudo loot cage. Nothing in life is certain, I suppose. I realize this is a little ridiculous, but I think it's what I have to do. Yeah, Discord said they're gonna be buffing Roberts. Do you think that makes him good enough to grab? That's a really good question. I am not sure. That's one Gwenpool proc. I'm pretty scared here. Yeah. I figured out the play at the end. Don't worry, chat. It took me a little bit, but I figured out the play at the end when I realized that we would beat Altar of Death just by moving Jeff there and hazmatting. As we'll call it the Jeff Throne. I'm not sure that's true. Just Huskies one time? No. Like a Widow's Throne or Kitty's Throne. I'm sure this man is playing perhaps the most heinous possible Doc Ock bullshit. I've never been more sure of anything in my entire life, actually. It's actually just the most guaranteed ever. Maybe it's like a move deck, I don't know. Okay, now I am confused. I will admit some confusion here, I gotta tell you. I am a little confused. I am wrong. What is happening here? Loki? Okay, Silver Surfer. Reasonable. What the fuck is happening? I'm getting bobberted? Holy shit. I'm getting hydration Roberted right now? Oh my god. Snapping here is actually very smart since that moron leaves mid. I'm waiting to see if he snaps. Everyone's spamming hydrate right now. Holy fuck. I'm making a dumb play. Haha! Not a dumb play. Actually a genius. Hold on. I just see there's a bug in this room. This mockingbird shit. Or something. Is there a way we can do it? I would like to. Fuck is this? Full 8410? I think that's probably just worse. Where are they going with the Galactus? Okay. So Galactus costs 6. They're playing a 5-drop here. Okay. They're just playing him in decks that are like super hyper invested in him. And it's like, yeah, he's super, like, do you remember when Annihilus came out? Do you remember when Annihilus came out and everyone was like, holy shit? Everyone was just like, holy shit, that card? Everyone, like, we have to start playing it with dog shit. We have to start playing it with total dog shit. Wait, the Snowguard Hawk turns off the TVA, correct? Like, there is no longer a TVA here? I'm pretty sure, but I'm not positive. It's not gonna, like, fucking show up again or anything like that. Or Dark Hawk instead of having the... It actually is an issue of the amounts here. Beta Ray Bill? Still totally solid, yeah. Nothing wrong with the Beta Ray Bill. Ow. That was sort of my plan, I'm not gonna lie to you. That was gonna be one of the things I was trying to fucking accomplish here, yeah. Oh. My fucking god. I've been ruined. Wait, no I haven't. They almost cooked. But no. No cookery happened here. Rack dump, huh? I'm guessing he's dead. Oh, Jesus Christ. He's doing some other shit. Alright. What the fuck is happening here? So it's like a death, right? No, mid. Okay, so how much has died here? They have 8 energy. They have killed Widow's Kiss, Martyr, Electro, Killmonger, and Death. And X-23 twice. I am going to read a Galactus left. Woo! Guess who read it? You think Dara sniping come on? I do it every time. Can you guys get off my dick? I do the snipe blocker regardless of what's happening. Get off my nuts, bro. Jesus. Everyone all... Oh, boy. Okay, P-Town Playa, I think you have decided to earn yourself a perma. I hope you're enjoying that. Yeah. I can't get Galactus right now, right? Okay, he's leaving. I guess we could get betrayed by Nocturne here. Nocturne did not betray me. All right, I gotta go pee. I'll be right back. The Gambit won them the game and they don't even know it. Yep. Mysterio, Mobius. It's cool. I don't actually have any of that shit. We're good. Never not moving that. Never not moving that.